On the 26th of November, everything changes. Because Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, the man sitting at the center of corruption, organized crime, political interference, and a 360 million rand SAPS scandal, is finally taking the stand. But here's the part most people don't understand. Matlala's testimony isn't just another witness statement. It could rewrite everything we think we know about criminal infiltration inside South Africa's police system. For months, the Ad Hoc Committee has been fed pieces, allegations, rumors, but Matlala is the one man who can confirm how deep the rot really goes. Did criminal syndicates capture SAPS? Did politicians benefit? Did senior cops knowingly protect criminals? And most importantly, why is Matlala choosing to speak now, when he has the most to lose? To some, he's just another businessman. To others, he's a dangerous underworld fixer with deep political and police connections. But the truth, or at least the version we've been shown, is much darker. Because Cat Matlala isn't just involved in the story, he is the story. Let's start with what we know. In 2024, Matlala's company, Medicare 24, somehow secured a 360 million rands SAPS medical services contract. A contract so questionable that the moment investigators scratched the surface, the entire deal collapsed under irregularities, missing documentation, and a tender process so wide open you could drive a convoy of blue light vehicles through it. But that's just the paperwork. Behind the scenes, Matlala's name appears in WhatsApp chats pointing to bribery, kickbacks, and alleged payments to senior police officials and politicians, including a suspended deputy national commissioner and even a former minister of police. And then there's the darker side. Multiple testimonies have linked him to a criminal network known as the Big Five, a syndicate allegedly involved in extortion, drug trafficking, kidnappings, and politically connected hits. This isn't small-time crime. This is systemic capture. And somehow this same man was allegedly financing political campaigns, not quietly, strategically. Rumors, testimony, and leaked evidence suggest that money connected to him was meant to support a presidential bid inside the ANC. At this point, one question becomes unavoidable. How did a man with this much smoke around his name get this close to SAPS, politicians, and national tenders without setting off alarms? And that is exactly why his testimony is so explosive. The biggest mystery in this entire saga isn't the money. It's not the politicians. It's not even the criminal networks tied to his name. The real question is this. Why is Cat Matlala suddenly willing to testify publicly at the Ad Hoc Committee? Because make no mistake, this man has everything to lose. For months, Matlala has been silent. He's avoided interviews. He's dodged questions. His lawyers have pushed back against allegations, denied claims, and insisted he's the victim of a political smear campaign. So why now? There are three possible reasons, and they're all explosive. 1. Pressure has caught up with him. With every hearing, more evidence has surfaced. WhatsApp chats, payment records, testimony from senior officers, links to criminal syndicates. Matlala may finally realize that silence is no longer protecting him. Testifying could be his attempt to control the narrative before the narrative controls him. 2. He's not protecting himself. He's protecting someone else. Let's be honest. No one in this story operates alone. If Matlala talks, he could implicate senior police officials, high-ranking politicians, business figures, and entire networks operating behind SAPS. But if he refuses to talk, he becomes the fall guy. Testifying might be his way of sending a message. Open quote. If I go down, I'm not going alone. Close quote. The political winds have shifted. This is the part most people overlook. The political landscape inside the ANC has changed. Power blocks are fighting. Alliances are shifting. People who were protected 2 years ago aren't protected today. If Matlala's testimony was once dangerous, it might now be useful to someone. And Matlala knows this. Testimony at this moment creates leverage, it creates relevance, it creates bargaining power. Because in South African politics, the truth is never just the truth, it's a weapon. So what is Matlala planning to do on the stand? There are only two possibilities. He comes clean and exposes a network so deep it could shake SAPS and Parliament, Or he deflects, denies, and rewrites the story, buying time for himself and whoever benefits from his silence. Either way, on the 26th of November, everything changes. The tender that should never have happened. It all starts with that 360 million rands SAPS contract. On paper it looked simple, medical services for SAPS members, but the deeper investigators went, the more ridiculous it became. Documents were missing, requirements were bypassed, bid scoring made no sense, and the biggest red flag of all, Matlala's criminal background was never checked. Not missed, not overlooked, completely ignored. The committee later described the tender as open to abuse and manipulation, which is the polite way of saying, open quote, someone made sure this deal went through. Close quote. 2. WhatsApp messages that change everything. When Matlala's phone was confiscated during another investigation, authorities stumbled onto something explosive. WhatsApp messages that appear to show negotiations over payments, discussions with high-ranking officers, attempts to secure police protection, and alleged kickbacks tied directly to tenders. Some of these messages point to senior officials, a suspended deputy national commissioner, and even a former minister of police. Suddenly, this wasn't just an irregular tender. It was the map to an entire network. 3. Links to the Big Five syndicate. Then comes the part that pushed investigators over the edge. Multiple testimonies from officers, whistleblowers, and committee members have tied Matlala to a criminal group known as the Big Five. A syndicate linked to extortion, drug trafficking, kidnappings, targeted killings, and deep political protection. Not rumours. Not Twitter theories. Actual testimony under oath. If these links are real, then Matlala wasn't just doing corrupt business. He was allegedly doing business with organised crime. If you thought the story ended with tenders and crime, think again. Because according to testimony, financial records, and whistleblower statements, Matlala's money didn't just move through SAPS, it moved through politics. There are claims, some sworn under oath, that funds linked to Matlala were channeled toward political campaigns, including a potential presidential bid inside the ANC. Not donations, not fundraising, strategic financing, the kind that buys influence, the kind that buys protection, the kind that explains how one man can operate above the system for so long. If these allegations are true, then Matlala wasn't just infiltrating SAPS, he was infiltrating power. 5. The attempted murder case, and why it matters. Then comes the case that finally brought everything crashing down. Matlala is currently behind bars facing charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and money laundering, connected to the 2023 shooting of his former girlfriend. And while this might seem unrelated, investigators say this is the case that unlocked everything else. Because when detectives seized his phone, the entire web started to unravel. Tenders, bribes, political payments, syndicate links and communications that no businessman should ever be having with senior police officials. This wasn't a fall from grace. This was a collapse waiting to happen. 6. The whistleblower connection. And then there's the part that chills everyone. Matlala's company was flagged years ago by slain whistleblower Babita Deokaran during the Tembisa hospital corruption scandal. Her internal spreadsheets, the ones that eventually got her killed, listed companies showing the same pattern we're seeing now: irregular payments, inflated invoices, and politically connected individuals receiving state money quietly. Her warnings were ignored. And now, years later, Matlala's name returns, not as a footnote, but as the main storyline. So when people ask, why does Cat Matlala's testimony matter? It's simple. Because every single thread, corruption, syndicates, political financing, attempted murder, state capture, leads back to him. He is the bridge between the underworld, the state, and the people who were supposed to protect South Africa. And on the 26th of November, he will finally be forced to explain how it all works. So after everything we've unpacked, the tenders, the syndicates, the political money, the attempted murder case, the whistleblower links, one question stands above all the others. Why is Cat Matlala suddenly willing to testify? Because let's be honest, a man in his position never speaks unless something around him has shifted. And make no mistake, something has. Let's break down the 3 most likely reasons. 1. The walls are closing in. Matlala isn't walking into the ad hoc committee as a free man with options. He's walking in as a man in custody, facing attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, and possible future charges tied to tenders, corruption, and organised crime. He's not fighting a single case. He's fighting for his life, legally and politically. Testifying may be his only remaining bargaining chip. Information is currency, and Matlala has plenty. 2. Protecting himself from his own network. When you operate at the level Matlala allegedly did, with syndicates, ministers, generals, and tender bosses, you don't just fear the law, you fear the people you once worked with. Because a man like him doesn't bring down one person, he brings down an entire ecosystem. His testimony could expose senior officers, political allies, criminal partners, tender brokers, and the gatekeepers who made his rise possible. And once he starts talking, all of them are at risk. Testifying publicly, in front of Parliament, cameras, and the entire country, may actually be the safest place for him. You can silence a witness. You cannot silence a national broadcast. 3. A strategic reset move. Some insiders believe Matlala is not trying to fight the system. He's trying to negotiate with it. A possible plea deal, reduced sentences, or even positioning himself as a cooperating witness instead of a mastermind. It's not a moral decision. It's a strategic decision. And if his information is as explosive as investigators claim, he knows he holds leverage. The kind of leverage people only get once in a lifetime. So, what does this mean for the 26th of November? It means this. Matlala is not coming to clear his name. He's coming to save it. He's not coming because he wants to tell the truth. He's coming because telling the truth, or his version of it, might be the only way out. And that's why his testimony could be the most important moment of this entire inquiry. Because when a man like Matlala finally speaks, someone somewhere starts panicking.